Thank you very much for that very fine introduction, Ambassador Ralph. I would like to greet, of course, the officers of the Rotary Club, the President Banit Kasi, the District Governor of District 3810, District Governor Ernie Choa, the past District Governor Vince Carlos, Star Rotarian June Aventura Jr., ladies and gentlemen of the Rotary Club of Manila, good afternoon. Now, the invitation that was sent to me was to speak about the developments that me as chairman of the Committee on Urban Planning, Housing and Resettlement, to speak on the latest developments and to talk about what is going on in that sector in that industry and in that sector of our society. When I first came to the Senate, I was assigned or given the Committee on Local Government. I'm the chairman also of the Committee on Local Government, which is a natural evolution from being governor of Ilocos Norte for such a long time. I was governor for 3 terms, for 9 years. And the local government position was something that I thought would come easily, and has. But I immediately came to the conclusion that I still am very lucky, because I immediately called the best expert I know on housing and urban development, and that was my mother, who was the former Minister of Human Settlements, and trying to assess where we stand in the housing sector in the Philippines. Now, the basic change that we have had in the housing sector in the Philippines since that time, since the time of my mother, since the time of the Ministry of Human Settlements, is very simple. At that time, it was government that took on the job of providing housing, especially at the low income and socialized levels. Now, it is important because housing, when we say housing, we sometimes assume in our minds that all we are talking about is the provision, the building of a structure, a house that people can live in and on a piece of property. And so that is why it has become clear that the provision of housing, the provision of urban development, of resettlement, requires the creation of communities, not only structures, not only land. From three sectors in society. Number one, of course, still national government still plays a very prominent role, but then it is now included the private sector and the socialized housing, in the socialized housing sector of the housing industry must be partners in this development. And the latest development is also we need to have the local governments involved. Now, that has transpired because the local government code has provided a great deal of autonomy to our local government units. Furthermore, the housing problem is not concentrated around urban areas alone, although admittedly in the urban areas the housing problem is more pronounced, it needs more attention. But there are housing needs everywhere all around the country. And it is only local governments that have the land that can be made available so that all of those who are in need of housing are able to have access to that land. So if we bring together these 3 partners, the private sector, the national government, and the local government, and bring them together as partners in this effort, then I believe we will be able to bring together all the elements that are necessary for our housing situation to be improved, at least for the low income again and the socialized housing. So to bring a rationalization of the housing programs in our country, it became very, very clear that we needed to create a Department of Housing and Urban Development and Resettlement. And that is what we have been working on right now. All of the shelter agencies, HUDC, which is now the monitoring, and which has no real power, no real sanction power, it has no real teeth, really, if you think about it. HUDC will probably be still the head agency, and it will be converted in the Department of Housing. It is something that we both in the House of Representatives, and myself and the committee in the Senate, and together also with the Vice President Jojo Binay, who heads HATC, we have been working on very assiduously for the last few weeks, as I've said, and we are coming to the point where we will be able to give a design of the Department of Housing, hopefully before the end of the year. And with the prompting of the housing industry, the entities in the housing agency, the prompting of the chairman in the House of Representatives and myself, and again, Vice President. This was also included in the LEDA, which is the priority legislation of the President. But also the other social costs that come from the rising crime, the rising unemployment, all of these, the lowering of the educational standards, because simply the housing situation in these families is very precarious. And so that, I suppose, is a thumbnail sketch that I would like to give you for today about what we are doing in the housing sector and what we hope to do in the near future. I'm sure I have not covered everything that is in this policy statement, but perhaps during the question period you can bring up whatever areas of interest you feel that need to be expanded upon. So thank you very much, and good afternoon.